Welcome to your video for Module 6. So this is the longest module, mostly when people start falling a bit behind, and that's alright. So what you should have done right now is Module 4 and 5 for me. So the last one had 2 different discussion posts and an assignment. But in this next one, there are 4 different discussion posts, and there is a lesson plan assignment, so a little bit longer of its assignment as well, so make sure you are planning your time accordingly. But this workload is pretty realistic to that first moment when you've finally been hired to teach the course. The principal tells you, here's the course code you're going to be teaching, and I would like your course outline, within 24 hours, basically. So that's realistically what we are looking at. Well, how do you kind of start now that you've picked a course code after doing the scavenger hunt and you've looked through all the different courses that are in the document? What's up next? So a course outline, this is also equivalent to a syllabus in university college kind of level. So you are not the first person to teach this course code unless you've picked maybe an equity course code. Those ones really haven't been taught yet. But otherwise, most course outlines are out there already. If you just Google literally the course code, you will find different samples that are out there. I've put some samples in the course as well that you can look at. What you have to decide as a teacher mostly is the units that you are going to do. Sometimes it's not quite laid out specifically in each course. Sometimes it clearly is, like which HSP you're clearly going to do a unit on psych, soc, and anthro. It's very clear cut. Other ones you kind of get to decide what your units are going to be. Then you have to decide between knowledge, thinking, communication, application, the TICA, the TAC, whatever acronym your board uses, is if you're going to weight all 4 of those equally, or if you are going to say you want the application to be higher for whatever reason. Some people do this for the cooking classes, so they want to make sure every time they do a cooking lab that application is higher. Those kind of things come into to play. However, it involves a lot of math. And pretty much any task, like even in cooking or something, you could probably argue they need a lot of knowledge, they need to be thinking, they need to communicate in their kitchen. They're using all 4, so it's also equally well and less on the math if you decide to equally weight those for your course. That's up to you. So then submit your course outline into the discussion area. My one word of caution is sometimes you want to be very specific on each of the tasks and the percentages. But realistically, what happens in high school is there are snow days, there are fire alarms, there are presentations you weren't aware of, there is a Halloween costume contest. Whatever happens that takes away from your teaching time, and you'd like to say every year, every single assignment happens, so you could figure out exactly what the weight of everything's going to be at the very beginning. Like you do in college and university, or even like this course, you know exactly what everything's weighted. But unfortunately, that's not how secondary works. So it depends how much you want to be locked into those weights and those numbers, because you are very much locked in. So if you have a hard-nosed student or a hard-nosed parent that wants to lock you in that this assignment was going to be worth 15%, but now you're going to make it worth 20%, and you said in the outline it wasn't going to be worth more than that, you could be in some trouble. So be careful about that, about the percentage and things, how specific you are. I tend to vary towards the more vague on my course outlines. Alright, so then the next discussion is usually about the backwards design idea and how students are going to be marked. So in secondary, all courses are divided 70-30. So 30% of your mark comes from your exam and some other kind of culminating task at the end of the whole course. And then the 70% is what they do on the daily for you. These tasks are also sometimes called summative, so if you're looking for that wording, everybody in every different board calls it differently, like culminating's at the end of the course, summatives at the end of the course, whatever. Though they're big tasks, big jobs. So usually I use HSP or HSB course code as an example because they're the most popular. Usually at the end of those course codes, you have the students design their own science experiment, their social science experiment. So if you wanted that to be the end result, the thing that's going to be worth 30%, then within your unit plan, you better be teaching them some skills that's going to make them successful for that. One of those skills is probably how to collect data. You'd probably have to teach them how to make a survey, or you'd have to teach them what is observation, those kinds of things. So a data collection activity might be a culminating at the end of your unit plan versus actually designing the whole comedy for the whole course and getting them to create a whole social science experiment. So what we're looking for here is either you tell us what you're going to do for the 30% that's worth with the exam, so either 20% for the activity, 10% for the exam, 15 and 15, whatever you guys decide, or you come up with your comedy that's going to be at the end of the unit. Either one is good, but we're looking for backward design process here. What is going to be the big thing at the end, so that you know what the little pieces are that you're going to teach to get there in scaffold. Then the third discussion post is actually going out there and finding some resources, find a lesson plan that's already been done. Find something that you think, yeah, I could use that. Just the way you just looked at the bingo activity and the CSI activity and all those things to introduce your social sciences. Go find something for your unit plan. Go find a lesson plan that's already out there and critique it. Just like you just critiqued all of the other ones for the bingo activity and the CSI and all that. What are you going to change? What makes it more 21st century? What maybe you love it, but you're going to add an extension activity to it, or it needs a handout, or it needs a PowerPoint, or something to make it more clear, or to make it more DI, or to reach more learners. So what are you going to add and change? Because no one's lesson plans are always perfect. No unit plan is perfect out there. We're constantly changing things. You might actually end up using that thing that you find for assignment 7 and actually clean it up and write it out, which would be great as well if it happens to be the thing you're looking for. Something you have to do anyways for unit plans is get you to start looking for some resources out there. Alright, and then the last discussion post is a reminder to answer the teenage question of so what? Why are we learning this? Why do I need to do this anyways? How are you going to help them with that higher order thinking? How are you going to help them see whatever you're planning and whatever you're doing throughout this whole course, throughout this whole unit, means something to them? And it's just a little critical thinking exercise, gets you to find a newspaper and gets them to think about their connections to the real world. And I was hoping you'd find a newspaper article that you could find for your course, that you would actually use in your course, and gives an idea as a great little intro activity. These activities are great to leave for supply teachers as well, where they read the newspaper and then find that critical thinking connection that goes with the rest of the course, as a side note as well. Okay, and then you do a little bit of research about learning goals and success criteria if you have no idea what those are. If you have no idea what those are, you definitely need to educate yourself. If your board is for some reason not using this lingo of learning goals and success criteria, you gotta get on that. And then I want you to spin and think about this as well, of what this looks like in a secondary classroom. That we usually in an elementary, things are posted all around the classroom. There are anchor charts and things. But my personal classroom, I use it for English. There's an EMSA class that goes in there. There's sometimes a music class that goes in there, and there's a math class that uses it, and then I use it again for a different English class. So all 5 periods of the day, there's a different group of kids in there. And if all 5 of us teachers put up our success criteria and learning goals for all 5 of our different course codes all around the room, it'd become a fire hazard and also be very confusing to all of the students. Everything would probably have to be very color-coded, or we'd have to like section off parts of the board or something. I don't know. But in a secondary room, we don't tend to post it. So how are you going to express these things to the students? Because research tells us if we remind our students what the learning goals are and what they need to do to be successful in order to learn that, they will become better. And it is true. So what does that look like for you in a secondary classroom? How are you going to express learning goals to your students throughout your unit plan? Alright, and then put into practice. Actually create an assignment. So if I was actually coming to visit your class, I would see this actual lesson plan and you would have it all typed up and ready for me to watch. So it shouldn't be a day where they're watching a movie. Totally valid days. Sometimes you need to, there's some great videos out there for a lot of these courses, but probably not going to show me the most amount of your teaching skills. So make sure it's an active, engaging lesson plan, something that you'd want your advisor to come and watch, something you'd want your principal to come and when he's evaluating you or she's evaluating you, that kind of idea. All right, so You're allowed to pick any template you want as well. It does not have to be the Nipissing University template, or you can adjust and make your own, whatever works for you. There is a checklist of items that should be in there, so make sure everything is included. And then after that, you do not need to make a full-on detailed lesson plan for the rest of the unit plan. But this one, I do need to see in full-on writing with as much detail as possible. Okay, that's it, but that's a lot. Module 6 is big, so manage your time wisely. If you need an extension, feel free to ask. I always give them. I just need it before the due date. All right? Thanks a lot. If you're struggling finding resources or anything, certainly send me an email and I will help you out. Thanks.